Congratulations, you've bought Football Manager 2024. Now, if this is the first Football Manager game you've ever purchased, this video is right for you. Now, we are going to go through the process of setting up your very first Football Manager save on the new game. I'm going to give you some tips and some hints, and we're going to guide you through the whole process. Let's get strapped in and have a look. So, hello there, my name is Anders, and welcome to the Sort It Out SI channel. If you have just bought Football Manager, and you are wanting to set up your first game, then this video will show you exactly what to do. Here we are on the main screen. So this is the screen that comes up. It will be slightly different if you've never started a save before, because this guy here, this is me from my latest save. What you do is you click Start New Game. You've got some other options there, but you want to do this, and you want to start a career for your first game. It's a single-player career, local. You don't want to do any of the other options. We'll cover them in other videos. Basically, you click that and you can select your game mode. If you want to download databases in the future or install the real name fix, there is a drop down at the top of this page as well, which you will need. But your game mode are simple. There are three choices: the original, the real world, or your world mode. So original basically updates all of the squads at a certain point when the database is released. So it's basically about November time, and that is just from the beginning of the game. You've got these squads. The real world has all of those squads in the game, but basically whenever you start with the squads at that point, and the transfers happen as they would in the real world. And then your mode, you basically start at the point you start the game, and nothing is set for the future. So click on whichever one you want. We're going to go with original in this one and load up the game. So when you get to this screen, you want to go to advanced setup rather than quick start. Just put it in, we'll go through what you need to do on the advanced setup. So first you need to set your database size. This determines how many players are in the game, and also determines the sort of level that the game continues to keep players at. So it generates players to keep a certain level of players in the game. So it starts with, if you go to a large database, you'll have about 30-odd thousand players loaded, and you can go in and add things in as well. So you could, for example, add England and all the players based in England or with English nationality, and that will bump up to nearly 50,000. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to, obviously, but you can just increase different areas of the database. If you want to load certain countries or certain continents or all international players from around the world, you can do so in this advanced part, the custom setup part of the database. But we're just going to stick with a large database for now and have a look at which active leagues to load up. So you can see here, I've got down to the level 10, because I've got the level 10 database installed in my machine as well. But you don't need to worry about that. There is a video on how to do that as well, which we'll link here on the channel. So I'm going to go through and just select a few leagues. I normally just basically select the top 5 leagues around Europe. So England, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. And then we'll put the top couple of leagues for each of them. You can add more leagues. The more leagues you add, the more stress it will put on your machine, the longer loader times. It'll decrease your game speed, which we'll cover in a second as well. So I'm just going to go through and set the second tier as playable for each nation we've loaded, so 4 other nations, and then we'll probably stick with League 2 for England as well. You can also set to have just those 2 leagues in each nation playable, but everything else view only, or the whole nation as view only. That loads up certain parts of the league but doesn't have the full experience, so you can't manage in them. But you can also in the future add and remove leagues as you're going through. The game start date, you can basically select one when you want to start the game. By default, it will start at the beginning of July. You can set it all the way through to the middle of September if you want to. And if you also want to change the game mode after you set it, you can change it there as well. And it will tell you each of the game mode things. So you can go down to advanced options. There are a few things in here that you can select. So use fake players and staff will basically replace all of the real players with fake players, kind of based on the players in the database, but we'll give them all new names. Real fixtures, so all the licensed leagues have real fixtures. If you don't want to play with the real fixture list, you click that. If you're playing in the Premier League, it won't matter because it's not licensed. There's sections to add or staff or players to playable teams. So if you don't want to populate the rest of the teams that don't have full squads with players or full staff lists with staff, you can do so here. I'm just basically going to not add key staff and not add players to playable teams. You can disable the first transfer window. It'll basically lock everything in place and no one will have a transfer budget for the first transfer window, so you have to go to January before you can start doing anything. Player attribute masking is basically like a fog of war. It will give you ranges for players you don't know in their attributes, but for first time round, I definitely recommend having that switched on, so disabling the player attribute masking, as you'll basically be able to see what players around the world, some players you are more familiar with, and what their attributes look like. You can prevent the use of the in-game editor as well. So the in-game editor is an extra payable DLC you have to buy. You can prevent the use of that if you want to. If you've not got it, it doesn't really matter. And basically the game speed, you want this as high as possible whilst loading as many leagues and players that are going to enhance your game. So the higher it is, the quicker the game will run on your machine. The better your machine, the quicker it will run with more things. So you've got to kind of get the right balance. I'd say as long as you've got 3-star and above, it will run fine. The higher, the better. If you want to load more leagues, it will bring it down. Loading leagues brings down the game speed more than loading just players. So if you want to load more players than leagues, you have to go into the advanced setup, which we'll definitely cover on another video, because for your first game, it's kind of a bit more in-depth than you need to be. Right, once you've done that, hit start game, and the game will start loading up the database, and we'll have a little break here once it's ready. And whilst we're having this little break, I'm going to flag a few videos that are here on the channel. So if you want to add in logos and player kits and faces for players that aren't already in the game by default, we've got videos here on the channel, and also videos around skins and backgrounds and databases. Lots of things here on the Sort It Out SI channel. Check out the playlist for the essential guides. That will basically guide you through how to install all the graphics that you need to enhance the game and make it a little bit more pretty and make it look a little bit more like my game here. So it's got the different logos, the different player faces, all the player kit, all the team kits, all in there as well. Trophies, new ball textures as well are included. You can just download all of those things on the Sort It Out SI website. Right, now the game is loading and setting up. We'll be back and have a look what happens when we get there. Okay then, so once everything is loaded, you'll be greeted with this screen. Well, you will if you've got a player profile. If you haven't, you'll have to create one. So this is my player profile. It's got all my details in. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and it looks a little bit like me. But you want to set up a new profile, and by doing so, you'll be greeted with these options. You can give your manager a name. I'm just going to call him New Manager Man. Nice and original. Set their gender, so if you're a man or a woman, you can set that there. Nationality, again, quite straightforward and simple. We're going to... We've got rid of the nationality. Right, we'll go to nationality and set that to English, because I'm English and I'm going to manage in England as well, so that makes the most sense. You can also set second nationalities and other languages spoken if you want to go into more detail. I'm just going to say that I am from London because it's nice and simple. Keep the date of birth however you want it, set it to your own, leave it random, up to you. And then you can select your favourite team as well, and that will basically give you more news articles and information about your team. Your experience level here is key as well. If you have never played this, I'd keep this ticked so you get all of the basically the tutorials and in-game advice popping up as you go through. When you go through, you can randomise your body, you can set your height and your body type. So I'm going to make this manager absolutely huge. We'll call him 220 centimetres. I don't know what that is in real money, but he's really tall. We'll do him really skinny. We'll see what he looks like in really fat as well. No, we'll go really skinny. And we'll randomise the body a few more times as well until we get something that looks pretty cool. Oh, there we go. That's a nice big afro. We'll go with that one. We've got a moustache and an afro with a headband. Excellent. Right, you can go in and randomise lots of things, but we'll leave that set like that. We'll go into attire. Obviously, you don't have to randomise. You can spend a good half an hour picking your outfit and making your manager look how you want. There's also an option to load in a photo and generate the face from that, but it doesn't really work very well, so I'd recommend just trying to build it yourself. I'm just going to randomise the attire until we get something that looks pretty okay. Well, yeah, we'll go with that. Why not? There are lots of different attires you can choose for your manager. Basically, the guy who you'll see him on the when you're in a match, you can see your manager on the touchline. You see what he looks like. You'll see this really tall bloke with a big afro if you've done what I've done here. And we're going to eye patch. That's what this attire needs. We'll give him an eye patch. Right, there are some other accessories you can add on as well, like a watch, glasses, face paint, rings, earrings, a lapel badge if you've got a lapel. Anyway, right, this is where you go through to choose the team you are going to manage. Now, I would recommend either managing a really, really big team or managing the side you support. So you are quite familiar with all of the players that are in the team, so you know what you're doing roughly already. I support Blackburn, so I would go in as my first game to manage Blackburn. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to pick Manchester City because they're the biggest team in England and you are expected to win things. So you might have the best squad as well. Once you do that, you can go through to set your manager attributes and your manager's style. So if you want, I'd recommend clicking the suggest experience and suggest badges based on Man City. But if you want a really hard game where you've got no manager attributes, this is equivalent of basically a difficulty level in essence. If you've got no attributes, it'll be harder to do things. So the left-hand side is the coaching attributes, the right-hand side is the mental attributes. So if you want to do your own training and get really involved in the coaching side of the game, lean towards your coaching attributes. I'm much more of a leave the coaching and everything to the coaches. So I would basically pick something that's got more of a focus on the mental side of the games. There are explanations if you hover over the little icon to tell you what each attribute does. Some impact more strongly than others. If you want to manage in lots of different leagues and go different jobs, have high adaptability. If you don't want players coming to you with every little grievance and you just want to be left alone a little bit, have a higher level of discipline and management. If you want to motivate with your team talks and get everything going there, have higher motivating. Basically, this is a bit of trial and error. As you play the game a few more times, you'll get an idea of what attributes you want your manager to have and what you aren't bothered about to really fit with the style of how you play the game. But we'll cover more of the things that you can do in the game in future videos. Right, we've hit confirm, and when that happens, you get this little screen welcoming you to the club you are now managing. So Manchester City have hired Manager Man. Got a great name, got no experience, he's 29 apparently, and he's now off to replace Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. You get a nice little info overview of the side, your media prediction, your reputation, your director of football, assistant manager, who your fierce rivals are, your facilities, your expectations for various leagues as well will come in a second. But you get a nice little overview, the transfer budget and everything of the club's history and all the things about the club at a very high level. And when you go onto the next screen, you'll get a view of your team's best 11 in the opinion of your staff. So this is from your managing director. He gives you a team report, gives you a formation that will fit the team you've got, also tells you about transfer obligations and loan obligations, so who you've got out on loan. So if you're a big Premier League side, you'll have a lot of young players out on loan. But this is basically the game's view, or your staff in-game view of your best 11 and what formation you need to play. We'll cover setting your tactic up in the next video in this series because we've got more things to cover just yet. So this is a view of the club vision and the board's expectations of what you need to do in your 5-year plan. So you've got board culture, you've got to play attacking football, develop players from the youth system, not sign players over 29, things like that. You're challenging for the Premier League, winning the Club World Cup, challenging for lots of things. You're expected to win the UEFA Champions League in a couple of seasons as well. But you can go through that at your own leisure and get an idea of what the board want. The club's supporters and their supporter culture and their expectations are always there as well. They're separate from the board, and depending on the supporter profile, they'll have more influence on the board as well. So you want to try and focus on what the fans want as well as what the board, to ensure you have a harmonious life basically as manager at your club of choice. Right, if you have ticked that little box at the beginning that says you aren't experienced, you'll get a load of inductions and tutorials that will pop up at various times. You can set them to send them all today for the first day, but I'd recommend just letting them come through as you get through the game. They're all happening in the first weeks or so anyway, so don't worry about that. You can also set a press conference to meet the media, arrange a squad friendly, and the meeting with the backroom staff. I normally set that to every month, but if you want to see it more often, you can set it to every 2 weeks or every week. It's up to you, and you'll soon realise whether you're going to use them or get bored of them and set them less frequently. Anyway, when you get in there, you now get to save your game, and you can basically save it with whatever name you want. I'm just going to call this one the tutorial. You can see here my other games, my Beat the 92 save, which is on my personal channel, my Chelsea beta save, which is also on my personal channel, and obviously my FM23 save that transferred over. You can do that as well. That's new on FM24. You can load your FM23 save if you have one, but if you played FM23, you're probably not going to still be watching at this point. So never mind. Right, this is the screen you get to, but before you do anything, before you read any emails or click next or move on to the next day, go to your preferences menu and have a look around in here. Right, so you want to set things up to suit you. You want to decide whether you're in windowed mode or full screen mode. The scaling option basically fits the screen more to what your screen is. So you can basically be at 100% or scale it down a little bit. I normally play on about 95 because I've got quite a compact laptop screen I normally play on, but if I'm plugged into a monitor, I might want to scale that up to a bit higher to fit the resolution a bit more. The graphics quality again is set by your machine. You probably want to go to this PC's recommended setting if you aren't sure, and you can tweak things in more detail later. On the advanced options, there are also a few things I definitely recommend. I'd recommend setting autosaves up, basically set them up every week or fortnight, and have a 3-file rolling autosave system. Normally what I do, because I've been playing FM for so long, is I just save. Every time I get to a match, I save anyway, because in the past, the game used to crash more often than it does now, and you'd lose games. So just keep the autosave on there anyway, so you don't have to remember to save all the time. Lots of other things that are more detailed that you can cover in future videos. You want to set things up. You can change the skin here. Got a video about that. Don't worry about that right now. The location for doing graphics and things. Don't worry about that again. changing your profile picture to put your own face in there. Got a video about that. Don't worry about it right now. That's more complex and things to do in the future. The interface, again, if you are changing graphics, there is a section here that you need to look at. But again, videos to cover that here on the channel, so don't worry about it too much right now. Anything else to cover on this section? I don't think so. On the interface, you can change what screens load up when you click on a player or click on a team as well, but you don't need to worry about that until you get more used to playing the game. Here are some formats. I'd recommend changing these to formats and measurements that you're used to, so your temperature in Celsius, height in feet, weight in stones, because, you know, that's what I'm used to. And also meters for short distance, miles for long distance, because it's a strange British thing that we do. Having the date format in the right format for you, so you understand the dates and how money is shown as well. Match settings, we're not going to cover now. We're going to have a video about your very first match later on in this series as well, so we'll cover all of the things you need to do in there as well. But you can set things to change the processing as well, so you can make things more or less responsive and faster or slower, depending on the settings you set in here. But don't worry about that too much right now, and I think basically that's all we need to worry about. So we'll hit confirm on the preferences, and that will load up everything we've just changed. And whilst that's happening, again, I'm going to plug some more videos here on the channel. So we're going to have this guide series for new players and how to basically get through your setting up your first save, which is this one, getting through your first day, getting to your first match, and all the different things you can do. And through the tutorials, we'll have a few guides here. We've got loads of other guides to install graphics and enhance the visual side of your game as well. They're the essential guides, which we've got a playlist of already. They're already all out, so you can watch those and get your game looking a little bit prettier. And different aspects of the game, different parts of the game, so like how to go through scouting. We're gonna have we've got an in-depth guide on that already here on the channel. List of wonder kids if you want to find out some of the best players to buy for the future. Watch them here on the channel. League guides as well, so if you're not sure who to manage once you've got a few games under your belt and you want to, you know, branch out a little bit, they've got loads of league guides which cover lots of leagues around the game. I think we've done 20 so far, 20 nations, and they've all got save ideas in there, so each one has at least 5 save ideas for that nation. Basically, it gives you all a guide to all the rules and the relegation and promotion systems within the game. Right, so that's what you can find on the Sort It Out SI channel. This video is going to be ending soon. Once this skin is loaded, I'll show you what it looks like, and we'll get forward into the next part of our tutorial. Okay, so we have loaded everything up from the preferences menu. The game now looks like this, so we've got the taskbar down the side with all the names on, which is going to help us as well. If you have enjoyed this video and you want to see more, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the Sort It Out SI channel. I'll be coming back with the next part of this tutorial series very, very soon, where we cover your first day in the game, and then we'll cover your first match day experience as well. So please subscribe here on Sort It Out SI. Subscribe over on my own personal channel on Shadow Striker. Catch out the other guys here on the channel as well, Kempy and Flying Scotsman. And thanks a lot for watching. I will see you very, very soon on the next video. Thanks for watching.